All right. We are live with Red Belt Podcast, and this is Chris Conolley. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, Barn Cat. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you. So I've known Chris for a long time now. He has a ridiculously successful gym, or more than one gym. Lots of gyms. Tell us
Just
about
one.
just
Just the
one
one.
right now.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that and your backstory with that.
Okay. Well, I formed the company in 2003, so we've been in business for over 20 years now. But it started off just like most people, just a bunch of dudes beating each other up in a garage with no air conditioning, with their shirts off. And you know, that sounds like an adult film, a gay adult film, but it grew into a business out of necessity, really more than anything else. If I wanted to keep training and competing, I really needed to be able to make money doing this. So we started small, we were in a racquetball court for a few years, and then we were in an office warehouse space for a few years, and then finally I started to learn a little bit more about how to run a business, and that became the primary focus. And we just grew and grew and grew. We moved into a storefront. We were there for about 6 years, and then we moved into, I finally was able to, I bought a commercial building, and we moved into that. It's about 10,000 square feet. We've got about 850 students. We're doing business, man. We're doing business. We got a huge kids group. We've got a bunch of adults. We still have athletes and competitors in jiu-jitsu and MMA and kickboxing as well. So we were able to balance all that out and still make money. So it's doing good. We've got 15 employees now. So, we're doing all right.
Yep, he's doing especially all right, right? So are you're typically over six-figure months, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're usually 106 to 120 on good months. Black November tends to be really good for us as well when we run the November sales. Um, but yeah, we're averaging between 106 and 120, 124.
For those of you guys not figuring the math, about 86,000 a month would be $1 million a year. So he's passed that a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
So um
Yeah, we've
a
done
lot,
over a million
yeah.
since we've done over a million gross since 2018, I think. We missed in 2020 by like $30,000 for obvious reasons. We were shut down and all that, but um, we didn't miss it by much. And then we're able to bounce back. So, since 2018, things have been really clicking.
What do you think the biggest um change that you made in your systems or things at around the 2018 mark that made it click?
I think it was actually having the systems, tracking the key four metrics to run in the gym, and then really getting on top of the speed at which we were generating leads, how to generate leads, how to run ads, one, and then having a system to collect them and respond to them. And then I think probably the most important factor that really started to turn things into high gear is when the speed at which we respond to the lead. We don't let them sit there. So in a perfect situation, within 30 seconds, they're getting a text, an email response, and within 3 to 5 minutes, they're getting a phone call. I'd like to make that number a little bit quicker, but typically 2-minute response time before somebody's giving them a call. So if they reach out to us, the phone rings, which is great. Lets us know we've got somebody that's interested in our programs, and then I've got someone sitting there to answer the phones and respond to them immediately, answer their questions, set them up with an appointment to come in and try the class, do a consultation. So it's just really implementing an actual system based on sound fundamental business practices that I think work across the board, regardless of what niche you're in.
So if the I know outreach is your number one thing, right? As far as the leads, but I assume that you answered the phone at a really high probability with that amount of staff if it rings.
Yeah, if it rings, somebody's answering the phone. Again, within 2 minutes, each lead is getting response 2 to 5. If there's something else going on, but typically You know, in 30 seconds, they're getting an automated response to let them know that one of our people is going to be reaching out to them. And then within 2 to 3 minutes, they should be receiving a phone call. Every single lead, except the ones that come in overnight when we're closed, and then they get up and when they come on shift in the morning. So there's an appointment setter, someone to field the phone calls and handle whatever questions might come up throughout the course of the day. And if the leads aren't coming to them, then they will go get the leads and set certain amount of appointments. So really those 4 key metrics, the number one being appointment set. How many appointments can we set each day for class trials or intro private lessons? So if the phone's not ringing, they'll go out and get them.
All right. So just to, because this popped in my mind, I wanted to ask you about an upcoming red belt feature. Spoil it for some people and what you think about it. So it's already, it's not, everybody doesn't have it. I've tested it on my own account, but it's just me. So I'm calling it, it's tentatively called a sales bridge. And so what this feature is they, the lead can come in, however, usually through a funnel, they opt in. And after they opt in, they see some sort of video. And the video says something like, oh, hey, thanks so much. We're really excited to see you. We're going to call you right now. By the way, your phone is ringing. That's me. That's me. Pick that up. And then what the sales bridge does is when the lead comes in, it calls my team, right? And then my team, it tells them like, this is a fitness kickboxing lead. And they press 1 to receive it. And that comes to as many cell phones as I want it to come to, all of them. And then it connects to the person with the goal to connect to the person before they're finished watching the video. So in other words, the idea is to make it like a phone call. So you're talking about 5 minutes, which is crushing the industry, right? But I'm talking about 0 minutes.
Yeah, we talked about this briefly in Dallas, dude. This is brilliant because, again, I think the number one factor, here's the thing, is that all of us, we're running gyms and stuff, we're doing our thing. These leads come in and we'll just, okay, well, I'll get to them when I get to them. 2-3 days go by, there was, the lead's already cold now. The best time to get them is when they're fired up. Whatever it was that prompted them to enter their information, we need to be getting in contact with them immediately. So I love that, man. And the fact that it's happening, the response time is so quick. I think that's the number one factor into creating a successful gym. Have the systems in place, but the speed at which, if I was to focus on one thing, it would be the speed at which you respond to the lead. Because we see, we get caught up doing whatever we're doing. We don't call them back. We don't email them. Oh, yeah, I got to get back with them for a couple of days. And I think that's what the majority of the industry is doing. And I think that's where we're screwing up, So I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, 100%. Basically, what I started to realize is, yes, as you buy more leads, they're more expensive, right? But there's another factor too, that you buy more leads is like, okay, if the numbers are all the same, if I'm buying 100 leads a month, if I want to double signups, I just buy 200 leads a month. Well, 200 leads a month isn't twice as expensive as 100, but 2, somehow buying 200 leads doesn't double my signups. Right. And because, okay, have we also doubled the amount of outreach? Have we doubled all the other things? And the answer is probably no. But so many people, like, you gotta, I get it. You're going to have to follow up and follow up and follow up with leads. But my whole thought there is if the percentage of them that you got right there on opt-in is higher, then you can theoretically, it's closer to that doubling. And so that's for people that run ads. But if you don't run ads, it's even more important because if you only got a handful, good news is they're probably better ones because they're referrals or SEO. But bad news is you better get all of those because you have no means of scalability. But yeah, so
that's what everybody says, right? They're like, I got to get more leads. I got to get more leads. I got to get more leads. It's like, bro, what are you doing with the leads that you got? How quickly are you responding to them? How quickly are you getting them in there? How are you handling them when you get them?
So everybody in my area, they see me running ads and they literally like copy and paste my ads, and they
Yeah,
run
yeah.
ads, and they do the same things I'm doing, and then a few weeks they turn their ads off because they can't keep up. They can't make the spend profitable because they don't have the stuff behind it. And that's why I've stopped. Most of the time people are like, "Hey, can you help me with ads? Can you help me with ads?" It's like, well, I could, but like I could get you more leads, but like that's probably not, if that's all you want to change, I don't know that I can really help you so much.
Yeah, it's a factor. You need leads for sure, but
Uh-huh.
the number one factor is what are you doing with them when you get them? You know, how quickly you're responding to them. So I think that's a game changer.
So that's a feature that nobody can buy right now anyway, but that's just out there. So let's talk about what you're doing right now.
Okay.
Exactly, like, so reach out to them. How do you get, because you have a lot of employees, and so most people are thinking it's that. I know better because I know if you have a bunch of employees and you're like, hey, I want them reached out to that fast, and you say that and then you leave and you never say it again, that does not happen.
No,
So, so tell me from the very start on, like, if this wasn't a process that you had at your gym, how would you make it a process at your gym?
well, you got to dedicate an employee to being an appointment setter. Like you're the one that's supposed to handle from this shift to this shift. This is what you do. To the point where sometimes I'll have two people working up front just so one can handle all the customer issues and sell retail or whatever. And one person is just strictly dedicated to handling the phones. The phone is the number one business make or money making piece of equipment you got in that gym. It's not the mats, it's not the bags, it's not the gold medals that you won at the tournaments. It's the telephone. So, number one, you have to have a dedicated appointment setter, or that's what we did, a dedicated appointment setter, and have them. And the more we did this, the more necessity I needed for more appointment setters, so we're running the shift from, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Well, like, what do we do with all the leads that are coming after? We just got to continue to add people to the schedule. So there's one person on our team is dedicated to handling the leads whenever they come in. I like the way you're talking about though, where it rings to multiple cell phones and whoever grabs it can get it. I like that. That we don't have that feature, and that is something that is interesting. But so have the system in place where one person is dedicated to handling the appointments, uh, and those people are also in charge of the follow-up process. They're also in charge of lead of appointment farming for appointments, so dealing with old leads. So they're busy all day long. They know what they're doing. Their job is just to set appointments. We set a number. I want my people to set 6 appointments per day. If they set
Yeah.
6 appointments per day based on all of our other metrics, so many of these people are going to show up. We're running about 70, almost 80% show up rate right now for our appointments, which is well above industry standard. And then if your close rate is anywhere over 50%, you're doing good if you're setting 6 appointments per day. So some people with smaller operations, they're going to have a much higher percentage close rate. They may not get as many leads or as many appointments. The larger you get, the bigger the numbers get, right? So we shoot for 6 per day. They know that they need to come on shift and they need to be working until they get 6 appointments per day. If the leads aren't coming in, they'll go get them, hit follow-ups and go through the whole process. And because that system's in place, we usually hit our number. And as long as we're hitting our numbers, we're good. We're on them. They have to report every day. We use GroupMe. I know a lot of people use Slack and other things, but they report if there's an appointment set, if there's an intro lesson coming in that night. Like we communicate with our team through GroupMe. There's multiple different threads where they can where we pass word between each other, let everybody else knows what's going on. When the person comes on, there's a person working till 1, 2 o'clock. When the person comes on at 2 or 3 and they change shifts, hey, this is who I'm chasing down. These are the numbers that we've got up so far, and you can track it all day long. And there's someone paying attention to it. So first, I'd get a dedicated appointment setter and start them working, you know, and get them one person to answer the phone all the time. And if that person is you, because you're the only person, then, you know, you might want to think about hiring somebody, because I just don't think that you can do a great job. You know, if you're doing all the jobs, you're probably not doing all of them excellent. You know, maybe you try to focus on doing your job and then hiring somebody to do the other jobs. I don't need to do a $10, $15 an hour job. I need to be doing something else. You know, I need to make sure the employee is doing what they're supposed to be doing, but I don't need to be doing a $10, $12 an hour job. That's for somebody else.
Sure. Yeah. So, yeah, you're not, I had said before that the sales bridge feature, the automatically calling when the lead comes in, is upcoming. It's not live in people's accounts. Split call forwarding has been live for years, right? So in other words, what we have when a call comes in based on a schedule, hey, these people work these times, these people work these times, it rings everybody's phone at once and get it like so that we have live
I
currently.
love that.
That's a
That's
game
great.
changer for sure. For us, even when I thought it wasn't going to be, just having backup people because people are going to miss. I was thinking same thing as you. Nobody misses calls except they miss calls,
Yeah,
right?
they do. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But if there's backups for the backups, they miss less calls. And
Yeah.
plus, now that everything that every phone call comes in the system and is a lead, it's a recorded lead. It's
Yeah.
logged in the system. Every phone conversation is recorded in the system. Like all of that, it makes
Wow.
a lot more for the process you're talking about. I didn't plan to talk about this, but for the process you're talking about, this was built for this process or
Yeah.
something very close to it. So let's move on to uh, a concern that I used to have. I think I'm kind of figured it out. And but the okay, the average person that if you say dedicated appointment setter and you don't give them any other jobs but to like call, they're only going to call so much. So is this
Mhm.
person going to be sitting here for the rest of the day, or can they leave after 6 appointments are set, or like how does this work?
No, they're member service representatives. So they're there to handle any questions that might come up with our members that are on the mat right now. They're there to sell retail. They're there to help with the cleaning process. Like they have a list of dedicated duties because, like you said, I don't want to pay somebody to run a shift and them doing nothing. So they've got running work that they're supposed to do. But if I have, let's say during peak hours, I might have two member service representatives on the desk. One of those is dedicated to just handling appointments. So their primary, like if the phone rings, they're the ones that are on it. The other person is stepping and fetching for the members, going and getting them retail, sizing them up, changing the paper towels in the bathrooms, cleaning the mats. And when you have a big operation where we're open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., stuff gets dirty, stuff, there's constantly something to do.
For sure.
So, they work their shift, and then some of them might jump on and do some assistant coaching. They may jump out and train. But no, they've got something to do all day. They also help with social media, content creation, not the highly edited stuff, but more like stories all day. So during class, they have assignments. So they're not just answering the phones because the phones don't ring all day. And like you said, they got so many phone calls to make. Once they make them, what are they doing? They got something to do their whole shift. So whether it's helping out with social media, content creation, selling retail, cleaning something, organizing something, um, and fielding phone calls, they also do confirmations, day of and day before confirmations, and we're also doing 2, 4, and 6 week touches to help with retention as well. So they're in charge of all that.
All
So they
right.
got a lot going on.
Sure. And as far as organizing that, is that with like a checklist? Is it time blocked exactly when? Is there a priority list? Is it essential that the entire list is finished on a day? How does that work?
They have a checklist. So their job description is posted. This is what they're responsible for. They have their opening side work, closing side work, and running side work. Right. So this is what when they come in, if they're the opener, this is the things they have to do to open up, set up the system, get everything going, pull the schedule, see who needs to be called, so what coaches need to be informed, what salespeople need to be informed, who's going to be in their class, who's coming to who confirmed. And then they've got running work, which is just basically cleaning and social media stuff. So social media, it's not so much time restricted. They come on. We don't start calling people till after 8 a.m. I think anything before that is a little too early. So we're calling people to confirm with appointments and doing follow-ups at 8 a.m. And then classes run at 10, 11, and 12. So they're filming content, posting stories. They may be going live, or, they have, some of them have social media assignments as well. The ones that are better with social media, one person might be responsible. Hey, you're going to make a TikTok. One person, hey, you're going to do a reel for a kids class today. You're going to do a short for a YouTube short for strength conditioning. So we have a social media calendar as well. So they just follow the calendar. They come on board. They know what they're supposed to do. They know they have to set 6 appointments per day. So they just work until that number is hit. And if it's not hit, they keep working. If they hit the number, then their objective is to set more appointments. So 6 or more. Bare bones minimum is 6, which, is not an easy number to hit. They're having to do some work. So there's a lot involved. And then we're trying to bring in 5, 6, 7 appointments a day, maybe on the schedule. All those people have to be confirmed with. The sales team needs to know that these people have been confirmed with. If there's a first class, like we treat a person with their first class just like we do an intro lesson. We confirm with them the day before, and we let the coach know, hey, you're going to have a new person in your class today. This is their name. Be looking for them. Make sure they get partnered with the right person. So all that's laid out for them, and it's runs like clockwork. Not all, but we try.
6, do you mean 6 per appointment setter, or you mean your gym only needs 6 appointments a day set?
6 per day. So really, that's the daily number. We zoom out, and I would like 36 appointments a week. If I can get 36 to 42 appointments per week, then I know I'm going to hit my numbers, because I know for sure that 60 to 70% of those people are going to show up. 50 to 60% of those people are going to sign up. If we have better, and then my objective is to make those percentages better. So if we have a month where we're doing, 50, we're not going to sign up as many people. At 60%, I know we're doing much better. So zoom out weekly. Here's the weekly number. So I know at the end of the week, if I don't have the number that I need, they need to be doing a power hour. Maybe we send out a 9-word email. Maybe they're doing text campaigns, whatever they got to do to hit that 36. And my sales team manager, he handles all that. So if he's monitoring it throughout the course of the week. If it gets to Friday and we don't have 36 to 40 appointments, they're going to run a boiler room style power hour.
Okay.
And start sending out 9-word emails and going through all the old leads.
So what's really interesting is that to all the people that think they need more leads out there, is years ago, when I was doing way worse than I'm doing right now, and I'm still not doing nearly as well as Chris Conolley, but I'm doing okay.
I don't know, dude. You're crushing it. What you talking about? You're out there making moves.
Yeah, well, we're doing all right. We both doing okay. But years ago, when I was not like doing way less okay, I was setting more than 6 appointments a day.
You had more leads than anybody I'd ever spoken to, bro. You were bringing in leads. I was like, how are you not converting these? Because I remember your conversion rates were really low, but the number of leads you were bringing in, everyone in the whole group was blown away. Like, how are you doing that? That's unheard of. So it sounds like you switched to getting more qualified leads and handling them better. I don't know, but I remember back in the day, you were bringing in more leads than anyone.
Yeah, well, we definitely made some changes with that, but so yes, the more qualified leads is a real thing. It is a real thing, but it's most people that say it's also mainly an excuse. So the biggest problem for me wasn't we had a little bit of a qualified lead problem, that's for sure, because some of the tactics I was using were tag buddies and things like that, but not exclusively. Like, we did all sorts of stuff. We would do a tag a buddy and in a few days get 200, 300 appointments set from it, right?
That's fucking insanity, bro.
Yeah, but there would be manual work, right? Because we would message the comments and whatever. But show rate was trash. But still, so many people showed up that it didn't matter. Then sign rate was trash, and then retention was trash, and just everything afterwards was trash.
Yeah.
And everybody, I would go in and sell my numbers, and everybody would say, and it's like, what are you doing over there? You have to be
Right.
screwed up real bad somewhere. We're not sure where, but like it's crazy in several different reasons. It's like crazy in the good way and then crazy in the bad way, all rolled in together. But yeah, so it's the six is like, you're right, six is a lot, but it's also not a lot, right? So
Right.
if it's like that's man, this is hurt some people's feelings, but you can trip and fall and set 6 appointments a day, right?
Yeah.
And as long as you have systems to bring leads in and stuff, like
It's a
that's
realistic
not the
number.
hard part.
Right.
That's not going to get you to the 100K a month. Um,
Right.
I mean, it will be the baseboard that we start on, right, to build that, but he's for sure got more going on than that. It's more what he can do with all of this than that. So that's super, super feasible to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's a realistic. You don't want to set an unrealistic number. You know, a realistic number is, I think, six is realistic. It's reasonable based on the amount of advertising that we're doing and the number of leads that we typically get. So, you know,
and how many leads a day do you typically get?
um, a month, it's about 150. It used to be 250, but again, like you said, having a better qualified lead is a thing. So we dropped way down, but we're getting way more qualified leads. And they're showing up at 70-80% of the appointments that we set are showing up. So that tells me they're qualified. They're at least seriously interested in what we're doing. And typically, the majority of our clientele are men, and the buying patterns of men, they don't shop the same way that women do. Like when men have done all the research, they already know that they're coming in, they're probably going to sign up. They've been watching your social media. If you put out social media, that's another thing, right? You got to have content that talks about your community, not just technique videos and competition, guys at fights and stuff. Like you need to have more content than that talks about your community, um, and stuff. And so they're familiar already. They're qualified. They know that what we're doing is not going to be free because look at the place and look at all they do. So it's a better qualified lead. So my sales team isn't wasting their time. The appointment setters aren't wasting the time because that'll burn your sales team out.
Yeah.
You know, bringing in 200 something appointments, that's great, but none of them signing up, like that sucks. It'll wear your sales team out. They get used to losing, and
Yeah,
you don't
that's
want
what
that.
happened to my team is that way back in the day, and that's one thing to caution about all the tactics. That's like, oh, I want these leads without considering any other thing. I just want a lot of leads. It's like, hey, you get a lot of leads, especially you don't have the systems to handle the amount of leads you have, then
Yep.
quality may be an issue. And then you're used to fumbling all these leads. And then you get some really great leads in and you fumble them too, because we're just not used to pushing because it fails anyway. And then you have a
Yep.
bunch of EORs on your staff.
Yeah. 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 You got it. You got it. 100%. So to us, six is a feasible number, and we can do enough organic and paid that can bring in the required amount of leads. So we're looking for 10 to 12 leads per day. Um, we don't always hit that number, but if I can get 10, 12, I know we're going to get 6 appointments out of that.
Yeah. I've talked to people that expected to set, like Amy expects to set more appointments on average than leads that come in. So you don't expect that.
No, no, I leads. I'm at. I don't remember what our numbers are for the past month, but I believe the appointment set ratio was 79%, which is outstanding. We had 140 something leads come in, and 80% of them set an appointment. So I know we're not going to get 100%. We're definitely not going to get more than 100% unless we're doing, 9-word emails and power hours, but we only do those when it's necessary. Because again, I don't want to bring in more than my team can handle.
Mhm.
Um, because that you're shooting yourself in the foot there as well. So at 6 appointments per day, I have enough sales staff that can handle 6, 7 appointments per day, and everyone gets handled the way that they need to for the most part. Nothing's a slam dunk, but now I'm expecting, you set your number. I set my numbers at 50%. That way I'm not going to be disappointed. Right.
I also
So
do that.
yeah. So I set my pars, my standard is at 50%. And as long as we're doing over 50%, I'm not going to be disappointed at all. So we always do better than 50%.
Yeah.
My appointment setters are good. You got to have somebody that's good on the phones.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I've tried. I mean, I even have an overseas office with Red Belt. I was just over there for quite a while, and like I've tried using foreign, and I don't. I use all in-house people, so they see the same person they talk to. It matters a lot. I would rather pay more, for sure, for this job. This is
Me
important.
too. I
Yeah.
used to use Pat Live. Do you remember Pat Live?
I don't know
You
if it
paid
has a
them.
service. Yeah.
Yeah, they answered your phones for you
Yeah.
and set appointments for you. And when the hours that we were closed, the calls would forward to Pat Live. And it wasn't very expensive unless they actually set appointments. Then it was expensive, but it was just a total waste of money. I'd rather just pay a person to be there for the shift to run it.
Yeah, and it's one thing that to consider with this is with because I've even had free resources that I could have had it on for free, basically, because I have this person that I'm not
Yeah.
going to fire when something else went away. So I have this person that could do it, or that already works for me overseas, and I still won't
Yeah.
have them do it because I would rather than call you and do it bad, then like because now it's hard for somebody else to call you again. It
Yep.
would be better just like not to than to do a bad job. And
No,
not
I
to
agree.
is real bad. Not to
Yeah.
not call is real bad,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
possible to be worse than that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It wasn't the juice wasn't worth the squeeze at all. So we put a person in that spot, and that's really the most important hire that I ever made was an appointment setter.
Yeah.
Because we want to hire coaches and we want to bring on fighters and we want to do all this stuff. And it's
Should
like,
be
I
the
mean,
first hire. Should be the first hire, I think.
yeah,
Is
I agree.
in this particular business, um, other businesses people say VA or personal assistant or whatever. In this business, I think appointment setter is first. And what everybody does is assistant coach or something is first. But I
Yep.
think appointment setter first because you're going to be on the mat probably at prime time, at one of the favorite times for people to call or leads to come in, and how you're going to do all the things.
Yeah, you're going to run upstairs and answer the phone and huffing and puffing, be like, hey, I'm interested in MMA. Okay, cool. We do MMA here. All
And
right,
leave your
awesome. Class
class,
is at
which is cool
6.
the first time you guys understand, but
Right.
out when it happens all of the time, and
Right.
then you just do a bad job with all the
Yeah.
things.
Now,
And
if you're
like,
an
I don't
army
know
of
why I'm
one,
not growing.
yeah. If you're an army of one, the first hire you need to make is an appointment setter for sure.
Yep, 100% agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
And you should do it, I think, before you think you're able to do it, because
Yeah.
that's what I was like, man, I can't afford it. But at the same time, the same way, like I made a decision to get a coaching program that was $500 a month, that I didn't have $500 a month. I put it on the credit card and I made more than that before it was due, right? The appointment setter worked for me the same way. So it's like I couldn't afford to do this, but it's like you also can't afford not to do it. Same thing with this with software. Oh, you're using a yellow sheet to keep track of stuff. It's like, nah, bro. Like I did that too. And I have an engineering degree and I know better, but it's like, no, you need the like some of that stuff you do without, even if you can't afford it. Website, I talk to so many people. Yeah, when I can afford it, I'll get a website. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Go mow yards this weekend or something. Then
Yeah.
you have to have that now. You have to have that yesterday.
Yeah. If you do those things first, they'll pay for themselves, and then you will need to hire assistant coaches, and you'll have the money to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're going to grow immediately, and you're going to need to hire assistants. You're going to need to have all that stuff. You hire them next, and you'll need to, and you'll be able to afford it. But the appointment setter is going to pay for itself. Just like business coaching will pay for itself, just like a good software like yours is going to pay for itself and then some. And it's not, it is essential equipment to have. These are essentials to run the gym. You have to have these things, in my
Just like
opinion.
the mats, just like maybe more than the
Yep.
mats.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I mean, you cannot have mats down and still set appointments and close people. A friend of mine, Philippe in Atlanta, he opened up his second gym, and before they taught their first class, he had 250 people signed up.
Yep, that's viable and that's wild to some people, but I get it because you can do the whole grand opening special strategy, right? And
Yep.
you don't need, you can have, hey, and then we're going to have this challenge or boot camp or whatever it is you want to have that starts on this date, and you just take the money and get the commitment before it even starts, and
Yep.
you can enroll people or different strategies than that. But yeah, you have to have the systems to generate new customers, scalably generate new customers. As far as the mats and stuff, I mean, I started training at volunteering. I started teaching even at Lamar University at my college, and like
Yep.
at the beginning we had like rubbery guard. I guess you would still say they're mats. I don't want to use the word mats to describe them because I think that's
Right.
disrespectful to real mats.
I
But
got you.
and then slowly we got more and what like so yeah, you can train on whatever. You jiu-jitsu black belt saying you different priorities. You guys ain't never rolled in the carpet. I know better. You roll on it. You guys can roll on anything.
Yeah.
What you need first is all the stuff to get somebody to roll with. Um,
Bingo. And if you can put yourself in profit before you even teach the first class, that's insane. You're winning. You're
yeah.
setting yourself up for success by doing it that way. So, we all did it the wrong way starting off. I think we all came from the same back. I started doing this because I love martial arts and I love training and I love competing. And well, if I'm going to keep doing this, I'm going to need to make this profitable, and this needs to be my full-time job. And then I've got these other guys that they want to do the same thing. Well, now this enables them to really dive in and fully commit to their goals and their dreams as well. And so they can work in the gym and then eventually go out and open up their own gyms. So, you know, I think this is mission essential equipment. Before you worry about what kind of mats and all that stuff, what kind of software, how are you gonna how are you gonna bring leads in, and how are you gonna handle them once you get them? All these things have to be thought out ahead of time, or it's going to take you forever, like it did me to figure out how to run it. I almost closed the doors until I couldn't afford to go to the first business group thing that I went to. I certainly couldn't afford to join it. I just did. And then what we learned, the first thing I got was a phone script. This is how you need to answer the phones. Okay, well, cool. Well, you need to set appointments and you need to answer the phones. This is how you need to answer the phone. This is how you need to set an appointment. So before I even got back home, I called my team like, hey, we're answering the phones like this from now on. Before I even got back home, the thing had already paid for itself. So,
Sure.
you know, I've been at the lowest of low. I've been everywhere you can be in this business. I've been there, everywhere. From starting off to where we are now. So if you're thinking about starting a gym, this is mission essential equipment, and you need to do it this way from the rip, and you'll set yourself up for success instead of 10 years of heartache and heartbreak and having to worry about keeping the lights on because you teach awesome classes and you got a great fight team. That's great, but none of those stuff are going to help you keep the lights on. And if you can't keep the lights on, what good are you doing your fight team, your own career, whatever? Anyway, you got to have a business. The door's got to stay open, or you're not going to be able to train or help anybody. So,
Right. And
prioritizing business.
people talk about helping people, but like if you don't have systems to bring in people to help, you're not even really doing that. You're helping
Right.
three dudes get ready for a fight.
Right. Right. That's it. Three dudes that don't pay.
Yeah, that don't pay
Right.
and that are
But
kind
they
of E
demand,
usually anyway. Some of
yeah,
them
and
are
they
good dudes.
they
One of
some
the three are good dudes.
well, yeah, and they demand the most of your time.
All of
They
your time.
demand more of your time than anyone else does, and for nothing.
Yeah.
So you got to switch your priorities, and if you and I have found because we did that, my competition team grew and got better.
Yep.
We were able to do more things and achieve more. And I'm able to give some of these guys that qualify and that make good employees, they they can come work at the gym and chase their dream, really go all the way in, submerge themselves in training, martial arts, coaching, and teaching it all day, every day is all they really have to worry about. And those guys can really lean in and go far. And what I have found is we've accomplished more since we've done that than we did when we were just a fight team.
Absolutely. It's the reason that in the school district in football, the giant schools, I forget the names of the AAA, something like that, but like the giant schools don't play the tiny schools. Why does it matter? Everybody got the same number of people on the team.
Yeah.
Well, the bigger the base you have, then you'll select the elite people in there. If you want to, if you look at all these the world-class teams in MMA, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, whatever, they're big schools. They're big schools that draw from a lot of places. So it's not just about the coach. If you're a great coach and you got 10 dude, not every dude is even could be your dude. Right.
Right.
So if you've got 1,000 people at your school, you almost can't help but produce winners because you're going to get a lot of people in the middle with potential. Then you can have people at the bottom that it's like they're just going to leave and like they're not going to be a competitor. And then
Right.
there's people at the top that we're pretty much going to win no matter what. Um, and
True.
so the larger the base of the pyramid you have at every step, right? So if you're like, hey, I want to have a bunch of black belts, well, you just rewind it all the way like, hey, I want to have a bunch of blue belts. How do I get that? Well, it's like, well, I get a bunch of people to join, and then I get to stretch the retention to 6 months, and then okay, what percentage of those can I get to a year? What percentage of those can I get to 2 year? Okay, now you have 100 blue belts. Um,
Bam.
yeah.
You got it, dude. You got it. I mean, that's 100% correct. If you want, if that's really what you want, is to have a great competition team, fine. You need to have a larger talent pool to pull from. And I'm I want to work with these people because they believe in what we're doing. They've paid their dues figuratively and literally, you know, pay your freaking dues. Literally and figuratively, so I don't hate them. I love working with them. You know what I mean? They're not a drain on me. It's different than it was before. Where before, like after a while, it's just like, dude, these guys, they demand the most of me. They put nothing into the pot. When there's a level of expectation on those athletes to put into the pot, community, coaching, teaching, helping run the business, not just cleaning mats. I got plenty of mat cleaners, but like, what are you doing for the community? What are you doing? Can you coach a kids class and help out? Like, you get those people, you sift through the riffraff, you get those people, and now you've got a real team to build from. And what you'll find is that your core pillars are stronger than they were before, and now you can really, really grow at a rapid rate. So we've got so many young guys and girls that are in right now that are going to set the world on fire when they age into, you know, the professional level of competition. But it's because we've got a large talent pool to select from. And like you said, some of those people aren't going to set the world on fire. Some of those people are just going to be good training partners for the people that are going to set the world on fire. But you got to have the training partners. You got to have the people. So if that's your passion, is, getting guys into the UFC or on the podium at Worlds, you got to have a good business structure, or it's not going to happen.
So when you talk about 100%, but when you talk about these guys doing stuff for the community, yes, teach classes. Were you talking? Give me an example of something else other than that, though, right?
So my athletes in a lot of the places that you go to, the MMA team in particular, you keep them away from the regular students, you keep them away from the regular members. They don't come to the socials, they don't participate in anything that doesn't involve them. They're completely and totally 100% selfish. My team is different. My MMA athletes are some of the most um, noticeable in the gym. They talk to all the parents. They bring their kids in to train in kids classes. The coaches that work for me, the athletes that work for me as coaches and or salespeople, are there. They come to the gym socials. They're there for the belt promotions. We celebrate everybody's victory. They realize that the world doesn't revolve around them. But if you're there to help your teammate when it's their time, they're going to be there to help you when it's your time. So if everybody understands that we have a team, it's not like ATT or Extreme Couture where there's 150 guys. Nobody notices if you're there, if you're not there, and then a lot of these guys are just mercenaries. They come in do their camps at this place and then they take off and go somewhere else. We're not that. I don't have that size of a fight team. And that's not one of my aspirations. What I would like to have is I'd like to have a small team that every now and then, we may not be like in basketball just went past March Madness, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, even though they've been down a few years. We're not going to be any of those. We're going to be like a Davidson or a Hofstra or a Gonzaga that every now and then we're going to get one in the Final Four. Every now and then we're going to get one to the Elite Eight. Like, we're not going to have 50 guys in the UFC, but we can put a handful of them in there. And the people that are going to go to that level, we're putting people in the UFC and we're putting people on the podium at Worlds, and we're competing at a world-class level in kickboxing as well. So it's working. And I don't mind traveling and dealing with them because they're part of our team. It's not just team them. They're part of the actual team. They're contributing to the community. They're coming to the gym socials. Eric Andrews fights in the UFC. He helps teach bully proofing workshops. If I need him to grab a kid's class, he'll do it. And when he was actively signed with the UFC, he was probably my top sales guy as well. So they're members of your community. I don't have to ostracize them from everyone else. And I think that's pretty unique. But that's the way I want it. And I don't want I hate fighters. I don't want a fighter. I don't need another fighter ever in my life. I hate them. I only want martial artists. I only want people that are interested in growing and getting better. I only want people that if they stop fighting, they're still going to keep training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those people I find are better fits for our community, and they're a better fit for our team. And I'm not attracted to super athleticism. I don't care how good of an athlete you are. I'm not going to change my mind. If you're not a fit for my community, for my tribe, for my team, go somewhere else. And I've turned a lot of those guys away, and they've gone on and done well, but I don't care. I don't care. I can keep who I want, because it's
I'm
not
on the same page there. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't make or break us. The fight team doesn't make or break us. It's part of branding. It's part of awareness, but it can't cost you everything. You can't lose business because of your fight team. They need to be
If you do, your fight team even suffers. That's what people
Bingo.
don't get. By prioritizing this the wrong way, you'll have a worse fight team.
Yep.
Because
100%.
the base that would have been your great guys, you're killing your base that for your future people. Yeah. So for these people that suck, you lose the future people that are going to be good. So
Yeah.
I also have no interest. I mean, I have people that fight MMA at my gym. I have another person about to go pro.
Nice.
Probably very next few weeks, even maybe.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, we have a student that's gone to the UFC. We have lots of things, but like that's that can't be, if that's the focus, even that suffers. So yeah, a lot of people need to hear that.
I think so. I think as coaches, Barncat, we get so attracted to athleticism. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a freak of nature, but he's a shit human, and he's 100% selfish, and he's not really down for the team. Yeah, man, I'll pass on that, dude. Go down the street. Those they'll take you. I want them to pay their dues, literally and figuratively. I want them to, where we are, where there's a standard, and you have to meet the standard. And if you don't meet our standard, then I don't want you. If you're down to, so many of these guys come along, fighters in particular, they think, well, I'm an athlete. I played football. I did this. I'm going to be in the UFC or whatever. And they think they're special. It's like, dude, there's 100 of you. I've kicked out 10 guys better than you. You know what I mean? Because they're not a fit for my team. So whatever your standards are, have a standard. Number one, there's got to be a standard. Number two, hold them to that standard. Because if you get one athlete that comes along and you got your team that they have to be held to this standard, and then the super athlete comes along and you don't hold them to the same standard, your team's going to look at you differently as well. And it's impossible to lead a team like that if they don't respect you. So set a standard, hold them to the standard, and you'll be happier coaching them, and your team will be better. Even if you miss that guy that, oh man, this guy's going to be a world champion, or this guy's going to be in the UFC, like, not important, and it's easy for me to say that because I've been on that stage with these guys, and we've coached guys at that level, but I'm just telling you, it works better if everyone is on board, everyone is aware of the standard, and they will hold each other accountable to it as well. So it's done wonders for our fight team. Instead of being attracted to the athlete, I say I don't want fighters. I hate fighters. I want martial artists. Martial artists that also fight is fine, but I don't want anybody that's not interested in getting a black belt in jiu-jitsu eventually. You know what I mean? A lot of MMA guys are like, I don't need to put the gi on. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. Like, dog, I want a martial artist. The further you dive into your craft, the better it's going to make you as an athlete, as a coach, and then when you fighters quit when life happens to them. They quit when
Yep.
they don't have a fight coming up. They're not in the gym.
Yep. Even
You
at
know what I mean?
at a level that might surprise many people.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, they'll just fuck off for months, and then, oh well, I got to fight. I'll come back. Well, dude, what about everybody else that could have used your help getting ready for them? Again, if you're there for them, they'll be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. That's how a team works. You know what I mean? And while this is an individual competition, it is a team sport. You need a team around you. And as long as if you have competent coaches, now not everybody's competent, but if you have a competent system and a competent program and competent coaches, you can produce world-class athletes, especially if you've done it before. But, you want to have a good team, and to maintain that camaraderie and consistency on the mat, there has to be a standard. Otherwise, they'll just, come and go as they please. And you don't want to be seen that way.
Absolutely not. All right.
Yep.
So, do you have any closing comments for our viewers? Anything like that?
I think we covered it, man. I think we covered it. I think the number one mistake that we make is chasing after the fighters, as people that used to compete. I was a competitor as well. That's where my passion was. That's why I wanted to do martial arts, and it turned into this. But I think if we change our thought process, like the karate guys, the karate guys are all driving Mercedes Benz, and right, because they've got the good business practices. It's a shit product, but they've got good business practices. We have a good product. We have shit business practices. You know what I mean? So I think if everyone would adopt good, proper business practices and set a standard for their team, because the problems that as well as I do, like we go into these business group meetings, we all have kind of the same issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we would focus on running the business properly, number one, all the rest of it will fall into place. And it starts with the speed at which you respond to the lead, having the systems, having the software, that's mission essential equipment. So one piece of advice for anyone trying to get started that wants to go somewhere is, put a system in place, follow it, track everything that you can track, and get you a good software and a good team, hire an appointment setter. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
it. Those are the keys, in my opinion.
Awesome. So if people want to reach out to you or follow you or look at what you're doing, where could they go see you?
I'm on all the socials. YouTube, you can go to Spartan Fitness MMA. And we've got a really good YouTube channel, lots of content on that. Our Instagram is popping as well. Facebook, and then myself, Chris Conolley. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook as well. We're also on TikTok and LinkedIn. I need to probably do a little bit more with LinkedIn, but you can find us anywhere on all the social medias. Look up Spartan Fitness MMA, and you'll find us.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you, Barn Cat.